Like, so let me ask you, like, what's the point of war?
To take over someone else's property, basically.
Resources.
Yeah,
Or something.
for their resources.
It could be ideological.
All right.
But we're in an age now where you can win a war without even lifting a finger.
Yep.
You can just convince
Well, you'd
someone.
have to pick up the phone or
Right.
Yeah.
maybe hit a button.
All right, you don't got to pick up a weapon.
Yeah.
Good
The
point.
pen is mightier than the sword. So I was thinking about this. You can what we're seeing with all this like election meddling stuff and like, fake social media and sock puppets. It's more effective to manipulate the public into believing you than it is to actually go and force them to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
you're right.
it's actually interesting. I don't know if you've played the new Civilization.
No, I haven't.
So there's a couple ways you can take over cities, and one of them is through cultural pressure. Basically, if your civilization has like massive cultural output, eventually your boundaries will be pushing on another city who will then basically revolt and join you.
Yeah, okay.
So if you successfully convince an entire population that you're better and they should live the way you want to live, they're going to want to be like you as much as they can. And then you can take away the power of that government through cultural export.
I mean, I see parallels with what's going on in China right now because they're trying to convince their citizens that the U.S. dropped it in Wuhan, and that's what happened. And then there's videos of Chinese citizens probably risking death to like send it out. Like, we don't trust the CCP either.
Right.
We're not happy here. We
Well-
can't stand what's going on. We know it came from here.
Take a look at this. I've had a bunch of we had a bunch of people messaging in the chat saying that there was some pro-China YouTuber making videos about me.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to say the guy's name. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything
Right.
about him. I don't have any issue with him personally, but he's pro-China.
Right.
It makes sense. I'm pro-America,
Yep.
not pro-China. I view China as adversarial to the United States, and I view them as doing really horrible things.
Yep.
I'm sure there are people over there that view America the same way, like they want China to win.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
then you get a pro-Chinese YouTuber who makes videos saying, I'm a conspiracy theorist and I believe crazy things and I think the U.S. is coming for me. Clearly an attempt to manipulate and discredit me.
Yeah.
Because I put out a story where one of the things he said was I read an article where it said U.S. intelligence agencies leak show that China's been lying about the COVID numbers. I read that story. I believed that story. And so he said I was a conspiracy theorist. Because his view is that U.S. media is lying and I shouldn't believe it. And he's pro-China and his viewers are all Chinese. That's the game right now. I'm a useful idiot, I guess, for the United States because I like America, because I want America to win.
Yeah.
So the content I make will be very much, pro-America, and that's bad for America's enemies. So they'll counter it with their own propaganda. But propaganda at this point is way more powerful. If it's almost inverted. If a soldier, like, think about false flags, right? Do you guys know about the Operation Northwoods?
Mm-mm.
This was back in, I think it was the 60s. Where, man, I'm going to mess this up. And I know a lot of people who are listening probably know what I'm talking about. A guy named like L. Lemnitzer or LL Lemnitzer or something proposed dressing up people like Cuban soldiers and then attacking Florida so that people would hate Cuba. It's called a false flag. And then apparently the whole thing was scrapped. Like, no way, we're not going to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So if a Chinese soldier was seen on camera violating the rights of somebody, that's a negative, that's a negative propaganda for them. It's bad. People will say, I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Right.
If they put out videos where they're like helping children drink water and like saving lives and like building bridges, that's good. So if they actually engaged in war and we filmed a boat crashing on the shores and a bunch of soldiers coming out and, gunning down civilians, it would be a major negative event around the world because of the spread of information. It used to be that war was quiet and no one really knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And because no one knew, the U.S. would be like, our heroic soldiers stopped the evil, and everyone would believe it. Now we have film. We have the events filmed.
Yep.
It was, I think, in 2014 was the first time we had GoPro footage from both sides of a conflict. There's a camera mounted on a tank, and a camera mounted on a few rival infantrymen,
Whoa.
and they filmed both sides and uploaded
Wow.
it. And then a news organization found both and put them together. Like, you can watch both sides of the conflict.
Holy cow.
Now, because of the spread of information, you can't get away with these atrocities.
Nope.
Like, there's no way, the U.S. nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There's no way that could happen this time. The whole world would watch in horror and disgust.
Agreed.
But it took a while for people to find out what had
At
happened.
least I really want to believe that.
There, theoretically, someone could launch an ICBM and no one would claim responsibility for it.
Yeah.
But then we would be like, the U.S. would be like, we know it came from here, and then everyone on the world would probably know.
Yeah, I feel like propaganda almost is losing its edge, though, because people aren't going for, the classic news sources. They're going to YouTube. They're finding the people like you, for example, that are like, I'm just reading everything and giving you my, view on it. And it's not necessarily this, it's not necessarily this, but this is what I've found. This is the truth that I've found. And people are taking everything more with a grain of salt because it's too obvious that everyone's skewing everything to try to push their biased opinion,
Yeah, but in terms of that's very much like like American politics.
Okay.
If
I am thinking very in America, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the Democrats, you've got like progressive YouTubers who'll be like, oh, harumph these conservatives, and then you'll have conservative, oh, harumph these, liberals, and then you'll have moderates like, oh, harumph whoever. And that's very internal. But there's no progressive or lefty or Sanders supporter or even social justice activist who has said anything negative to me, as far as I can tell, over my criticisms of China. They don't care. They're focused on internal issues. The person who came out and was mad at me, calling me all these names, was a pro-China YouTuber, apparently like a big personality in China, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the real issue is we do have internal political conflict, but I definitely think our foreign adversaries exploit that and try to make us fight each other more so we can't be focused on fighting them. But now that we have this pandemic, it's been pretty bad because everyone's kind of leaning more towards China bad.
Yep.
For a lot of reasons.
Yep.
Still, the media hates Trump so much, and this is really dangerous for us. I think, what I really love about all of the super anti-government conspiracy theorist people is that the government can't even get control over all of this. It's like, you really think the government, in all of its different functions and forms and divisions, is in control enough? If that was the case, then they would get rid of all of the anti-America sentiment, which is rampant and insane.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's Russia. They're smearing us and they're doing all these things. And it's like, you can't even stop a few 13 hackers in Russia who spent a few $1,000s and then now everyone's complaining about it. They're not. The U.S. government has got power in a lot of ways, but they are not some all-powerful Illuminati entity twirling their mustaches. I'm sure there's a lot of things they do that would surprise you, and you'd be like, wow, I can't believe they do that. But when you've got adversarial conflict right now, the way it is with like China, you'd think the U.S. government would be like, we need propaganda that's pro-America, and people who are disruptive to America should be stopped.
I don't see,
but they don't do anything like that.
I still can't believe that the media hasn't spread the whole China was bringing in these diseases for the past 5 years. It's
Why
like
isn't
it's
that the number
in a
one story?
Department of Justice report. It's
Right.
like how is the media not reporting on that, spreading that, not spreading it because that it feels like spreading lies, but that's actually a report from the Department of Justice. I don't understand.
You know what ABC News did?
What?
They ran a story claiming that sources say that back in November, they reported to, White House officials that there was this outbreak coming. And then the National Center for Medical Intelligence, I think it's called, said no such report exists. ABC ran with the story anyway because sources say. I don't know who the sources are, why you'd believe them, and you didn't publish any documents, so why should I believe you when the actual people there said that's not true? And China was lying about this in January and only found out in December. Why should I believe that your unnamed sources know better than the actual official who's speaking out? Why should I trust the random nobodies? That's what the media's been doing.
Good point.
It's really bad for America. Unless there's something I don't understand and there's a grand conspiracy, fine, sure, whatever. But right now you've got a media that is damaging the credibility of the U.S. government.
Yep.
That is spreading lies that hurt the ability of the U.S. government to respond to things. You know what? We got serious problems, in terms of international conflict, especially in the South China Sea.
I agree.
And unfortunately, there is no, I'm saying this as a joke. There's no grand, all-American militaristic conspiracy to control everything. It's just, it would be so much more efficient for the U.S. to go after its adversaries if that if that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to like Hillary Clinton and the Qatar Turkey pipeline and all that nonsense with Ukraine that was going on, they didn't even do a great job of it. You know, it's not even, it's just, you know, agendas and people and these things change in government. If we had a more efficient authoritarian government, we'd have a much easier time of going up against China like they do against us.
Yeah.
Or containing the coronavirus, if we should believe them, by welding people's doors shut and leaving them to die in their houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that here.
Like,
so you know what?
If we were unified as a country, and it feels like we are unifying.
No. Well,
I think so. I think at the end of this, we're going to be much more together than we were before.
Yeah, possibly.
I think we'll be a lot better about ignoring the media because we'll have watched them lie to us straight, left, right, and center.
I think come November,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to say it right now. I'll make a bet. I could be absolutely wrong about this.
I'll write this down.
Because it's very early. But I feel like based on everything that's happened so far, come November, especially with Joe Biden, we very well may see a mass majority of this country rally behind Trump and the administration. His poll ratings will skyrocket. I don't know for sure. I know it feels like it's a strong possibility, at least as far as what I've seen, with his polls climbing better than they've ever been. There are a lot of people who really, really hate the guy.
Yeah.
But you've got Bernie Sanders supporters who hate the DNC.
Yep.
You've got Trump supporters who hate the DNC. So already they got a common enemy. Joe Biden is a joke. I don't know what they were thinking.
I agree.
But with the pandemic, as bad as it is, I mean, you see what Chris Hayes said the other day?
No, what did he say?
So they came out and Dr. Fauci and Birx revised their numbers down from 240K to 60K deaths.
Wow.
Or 100, whichever
Like
number you
the
want.
projected numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
So without social distancing, they were saying like 2 million or more.
Right.
With social distancing, they were saying 200,000. Now they're saying, based on current numbers, it looks like 60. And Chris Hayes says the most cynical, thing I can see, and I really don't want to believe it, or something like that, is that they fluffed the numbers up higher to anchor everyone to that number, so that when the numbers were lower, people would think they did a good job. Are you insane?
What?
Right. It's like, how about the reason the number, like, Dr. Birx is the one who made the number up. Are you accusing Dr. Birx and Fauci, are you accusing these doctors of creating fake numbers so they would look good? They're not even elected officials. They're appointed, as far as I can tell.
And how would that make them look good? It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrifying.
These people are weirdos. Chris Hayes.
All I can think is that's a significantly smaller number. I'm so thankful,
Thank
you know.
goodness.
Right. It's
Yeah.
amazing. And it's still horrifying that many people are going to die.
Yeah, it sucks, but 60,000 is way better than 200,000. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. It's like, so wait, we're going to put blame on them because they fluffed the numbers. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
But the main issue is just that there are people who hate the president so much,
Yeah.
they will say these things. But here's what I'm thinking. I don't believe Chris Hayes actually knows or cares. I think he's just trying to say things because that's what he's supposed to say. Here's my tribe. Here's what Trump must be bad.
That's the media for you.
So what happens if we have a really serious catastrophe, like COVID gets worse or something, and then Trump really does do a good job? What's surprising to me is that even after the polls, the majority of polls are coming out in Trump's favor. The response from these people in media is, "This can't be real. I refuse to believe it." And it's like,
impeach him.
right? Well, Alyssa Milano said he should be impeached for news that wasn't even real. And that's another thing too. Like Snopes fact checking the New York Times.
Yeah.
Like maybe we are unifying.
It's a cold day.
Maybe
It
right?
feels
Yeah.
like it. It really does feel like it.
Yeah.
So maybe by November, we might be shocked to see, and I could be absolutely wrong about this. There's so much that could happen from now and then. And that's another thing that really annoys me about, these activists will like to go back and look at things you said to make it out of context, to make it look like you're stupid.
I know.
Because hindsight is 2020.
That's what bugs me also. It's like people have to know you're allowed to make mistakes. Humans make mistakes and we learn from them. That's why we've been around as long as we have, because we've learned from our mistakes.
Well, it's not even about mistakes either. It's like right now I'm saying, man, I think Trump might have a really high approval rating. And then in a month from now, Trump walks out into Fifth Avenue and shoots somebody.
Yeah.
Like that's this famous thing. He was like, I'd walk out to Fifth Avenue and shoot
And then
somebody.
someone's like, well, Tim said that he's got a really good approval rating. He's doing great. And look, he shot a man. It's like,
right.
Yeah, but that was a month.
No one knew that was going to happen.
He shot somebody.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Where are you at now, Tim? You think he's going to get elected?" He didn't do that when I said.
Done that yet.
I said that's why I'm like, based off everything we're seeing now,
Yeah.
is he perfect? Far from it. But the American people are generally approving. Democrats and independents have a higher approval rating of him in his response to the coronavirus. I think, depending on how bad this gets, and how fast we can pull out of it. I mean, the economy is rebounding. People, the CDC has already said people who are exposed can start getting back to work. We might recover from this, and people might say Trump was the leader when it happened, and they might rally behind him.
Yep.
I still think you're going to have a very strong contingent of orange man bad types.
Yep.
But
Nonstop.
look, man, look what Joe Rogan said. He'd rather have Trump over Biden.
I'm inclined to agree.
Well, I mean, yeah. You know, look, people have argued that Trump has dementia and all this stuff, and it's like you're only saying that because he talks weird. That Trump he says weird things like big league, you know, or bigly, or whatever it is. I don't know.
I mean, I make up my own words.
Right?
I'm serious. I do all the time. It's fun.
Trump does talk weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's the adjectives he uses and the ways he describes things. It's the best medication. It's very big. It's great. And you're like, I understand, but that's not dementia. That's just him being like an eccentric, strange billionaire. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden says words, but that don't make sentences. And someone posted, I think it was like a Med RX thing about word salad, that when people are in the early stages of dementia, they start saying words, they're real words, but they don't make sense in their sentences.
Well, that reminds me of a certain somebody running for president now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Joe Biden, for
Yep.
those wondering if it wasn't clear enough.
There is no honest person who really believes that guy could be president. I am flabbergasted by these Democrats who are like, yeah, hoo-hoo, Joe Biden. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Just give what are his policy positions?
Wow. Joe doesn't know.
Joe doesn't know.
He really doesn't.
Did you see what Tucker Carlson said the other day?
Yeah.
No, what did he say?
He said, here's some serious questions that need to be asked. Could Joe Biden find his car in a 3-tiered parking lot? Could he navigate a salad bar? Like,
No.
I mean,
The fact that we're asking these questions
Yeah,
is a
well,
problem.
yep.
well, listen,
Yep.
the salad bar thing was silly.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the 3-tiered parking garage isn't.
No, it's not. You're right.
Like, you know, come on. We walk out of the store and we're like, oh, man, where do we park? And then it takes a quick second. We're like, there we are.
Yeah,
Joe.
It's like, yeah, I want to think that it's a joke, but the fact that it's actually serious is like,
Yeah.
ooh, come on,
Yeah.
Joe.
Come on, Joe.
Joe.
Go retire.
Here's what's
Retire, man.
for sure. But on Twitter, and Twitter isn't real life, the progressives, this is the crazy thing. Like, I'm looking at mainstream blue checky journalists tweeting, don't vote for Trump or Biden. That to me was
What's the difference?
no, they're saying don't vote.
Why?
I mean, like, you could vote third party for sure. And I respect people who vote outside of two party because I think voting on principle is the most important thing. I'd rather vote third party even if I thought I was going to lose because I knew I stood on my principles. But telling people not to vote because you're mad Bernie lost, okay, Trump's going to landslide.
Yeah.
For real, man. I don't want to act like literally every American is going to wear a Trump hat and go around singing. I think we're going to see a lot of Democrats and independents being like, yeah, I'll vote for the guy. I don't like him though. And I think we're going to end up seeing Trump win. It might be like Nixon in his reelection, or Reagan when they got like 500 electoral votes. I don't know though. You know, I really hate saying things like this because I hate saying them, but I do love to go back, like hindsight.
And see that you were right.
Yeah, like my video where I'm like, Republicans are going to sweep the House in 2018. The Democrats are going to lose. And the next day I'm like, well, about that.
Well,
Nope.
I was
That
wrong.
did
I was
not
wrong
happen.
about that one. Way off.
Well, it's good to admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's
A
why I
lot
don't
of
like
people
making
need to-
predictions. You know,
need to have that ability.
I can't see the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.